This is the part of the story where you would be expecting Harry to tell it. But unfortunately, there is only me. I could feel the chill void below me pull at my ankles, which felt like they had weights on them, the pain in my fingers desperately making me want to let go from the door frame above me. When what felt like an eternity passed, then I heard a door open and a voice, familiar but almost forgotten from long ago, speak.
Give me your hand, Neto. You have struggled long enough, my friend.
Gris gripped my wrist. I grabbed his hand with my other, flailing, and he was surprisingly strong as he lifted me up and into a room. The door behind us closed and locked, as if everything had fallen into place like the perfect mousetrap.
This emptiness is taking shapes, all of which I can't escape. Perhaps the one is humankind, a shadow there to oft remind me that I am nothing first. Even as I thirst to be the everything I thought I could be. You were not chosen to suffer. You suffer at being chosen. All these little children, so very afraid of the dark. But there is no light without dark. Chiaroscuro, isn't that right? But you know that, Neto. Or should we say, Neto Vicious.
As he appeared, I saw Gris slink into the corner, like a deferential butler. I almost did not want to see him cross the shadow's threshold, as if his power lay in that cinematic reveal. But his eyes drew me towards, and I saw him, almost like I'd known his face my whole life. Not unfamiliar to where I was born, a face carved by time, almost a mask, devilishly charming and seductive. Serpentine, but also almost puppy-like. Tall, but not too tall. His shape almost seemed to anticipate what I wanted him to be. He walked, but he floated. He glared, but he welcomed me with a degree of understanding and warmth that was chilling to my very bones. He wore a black vest on a black shirt with a red rose tucked into his pocket, but oddly he was in furry pink slippers.
Oh, these... My feet have always been a bother. I like them on something soft. Someone left them behind, and they fit rather marvelous. See if I can get you a pair.
I looked to Gris, who was smirking but avoided my eyes. I wanted to appeal to him one last time with everything I had.
Sherry. Or maybe a little port. I'm going to do sherry. No? Are you sure? Please, have a seat.
Give up, said all three voices at once, and so I sat down in a chair across from him.
You know, a science fellow once told me about what happens when a lion pounces on a gazelle. When it has it in its jaws, the coup de grace. I don't know how he knew this, but he told me that upon realizing its fate, the gazelle is simply flooded with chemicals. It dies in a kind of bliss. Its entire body going numb before the lion does its work. Surely, even you, Neto, you must have had a few necks in your day. And surely you would have noticed how similar it was, at least in most cases. our kind being the exception. With us, the spirits of the deep do not spare us the pain, and so we meet the pain, and the urge, as you have all called it, is summoned. The life force is summoned, and so, unlike the creation myth, we are birthed through pain, life, eternal life. But I digress. I only mean to say we are not unlike the lion and they like the gazelle, you see. How little suffering we actually cause compared to... Well, you've lived long enough. Need I plead my case, dear boy?
I said nothing, but still he took my silence as if I'd given a response.
Why are you all so keen at giving up your lives, your God-given gift? They say I came from a dark time, but it is you, my children, who live in darkness. These superstitions you've accumulated from who knows where. At first, it was a silly eccentricity, a vampire who doesn't drink blood. Fine for that one. See how he does, but soon it became practically a... what? A political statement? Suicide by slow degrees for the benefit of... who? For them. The ones who can barely eke out their time on this earth. Oh, some of them you say are worth saving. You think I don't know that. You think I'm not discriminate. I've been nothing but discriminate. Why do you think I slept for so long and for so many times? I was waiting for when I could do the greater good. Good. Yes, the tales speak of my evil, but they do not speak of the good that I bestowed. The urge as you've called it. The urge for me was to protect my people from a ravaging force. So I did some butchering. I worked my cleaver like a good little soldier, like a good chef, and then, when I was repaid, and I became what I became, Dracul, son of my heritage saving me and giving me the immortal fire of the dragon, chosen for a reason. I became a protector of all. But most importantly, a protector of you, Neto, of my children, my sweet children, lost on this earth and seeking your meaning, your reason. I am your reason, don't you see? I am the source. I am the vein. I am the truth. I am all that remains. And you think I don't see your origin. I see my firstborn and my love. The one who should have ruled alongside me, but I also see your own unique nature. And don't think I don't see. The dragon is alive in you too. Yes, in ways you are afraid of, but you mustn't. You've always had a greater calling, a purity of vision, an understanding of the holiness of the eternal soul. Come, sit by me, my son. Come sit by me, sweet boy.
Gris stood in the corner of the room, unmoved by my imploring eyes, like a soldier at attention. I would have taken anything from him, even the smallest bit of remorse, but he gave me nothing. It was then that I saw in a corner a body unmistakable, a tweed jacket. Parker, or what looked like him, his eyes devoid of life, blood stains on his collar, and trailing from his hand a red umbrella or part of it, as well as its handle with a blade extending from it fallen a few feet ahead of his curled, lifeless hand. I looked back at Gris, now noticing his bandaged fingers. His thigh had bled through his pants. He grimaced at me, a kind of apology of sorts, at least some vulnerability.
Oh, that. You caught us by surprise, you see. Else we'd have cleaned up. Had some welcoming celebration for you. We've been meaning to gather you all. I've only been awake for a little time, and waking up is always a little distressing for me.
I swallowed hard. You're... Gris? Excuse me, but my friends, Leona, Harry, they have fallen. I'm worried for them.
Well, surely any vampire can evade such a predictable trap, couldn't they?
I would not have. If I had not been closest to the edge and caught myself, I think we would not be having this conversation. Not ever.
How silly of me, and how reductive. Especially since you were the one Gris told me the most about. You and your sister, regrettably deceased, I understand. No physical strength is so dernier ton. Imagination, that is much more important. Yes, the ability to see what cannot be seen. It speaks of my origin, but never mind. I've been talking too much. That's what happens when I've been asleep for so long. Gris, anything to add?
Not at the moment, my lord.
Gris was blocking the other door that seemed to be the only possible exit. I glanced again unintentionally at the sword with the umbrella handle. What was I to do? Fall asleep somehow and use my dream powers? Impossible. Leona and Harry could be laying at the bottom of this oubliette, their legs broken or drowning, waiting for my help. And here was Gris, their old friend, who had seemingly entrusted Balkis in Parker's care for his own good. Or was it to get him out of the way, to destabilize Harry further? He was the manipulator. It was him that plotted to get Agatha out of the way. I could feel my blood boil.
Yes, I can see your thoughts, my boy. I can't read minds, but I've been around long enough that I can read faces quite well. Yes, he formed an alliance. He took a leap of faith on my existence. He rescued me from the brink of irrelevance, but also your power. You are not wholly wrong that it is not necessarily replenished with mortal blood, yes, but you see, I am the source. As long as I am powerful, you will be powerful. But if I am weak, then you will be nothing. Wiped from this earth in mere moments. You are because I am.
What if I do not want to be powerful? What if I do not even want to be a vampire?
But the urge chose you. You willed it. You willed your immortality. And yet you deny this gift you yourself asked for. Ha! How do you put it in your modern way, Gris? You must take the good with the bad. Veritum est difficile. The reddest roses have the... I see in you her stubbornness, her thirst for ideals. But what if the world doesn't work that way? Will you deny the truth until you're dead?
I thought of the girl on the train suddenly, her obstinate blank stare, and then I grew calm. A peace came over me. I let his power wash over and through me, like a wave crashing on the shore. For a moment he appeared moved, lost in a reverie.
All this is indeed hollow without her. Without someone to share it with. Without someone to build a vision. She had vision. I have talent. The two are not the same. In you, I see that vision. Perhaps even more talent. Come. Your friends, surely your friends are alive. Don't be a fool. Come, at least spend a little time by me. I came on too strong, surely.
I went and sat in a chair by him. The body lay behind me like an afterthought, the sword mere feet from my own.
There now. Isn't this nice?
Gris shuffled awkwardly in the corner. I think he was losing blood and needed medical attention, but still he stood rigid at watch. The Originator looked at once strong and weak. He seemed to be able to breathe in, and his shoulder blades would expand like a cat arching its back, and then a slow and halting breath out like an asthmatic old man. His form would collapse, shy and almost sensitive. His eyes almost looked like they had tears in them. Then his voice almost seemed to change.
People aren't always raised by people, you see. Sometimes they're raised by stories. Isn't that marvelous? But it can be a horror as well. For sometimes they don't recognize they're listening to a fairy tale. They are the fairy tale, unable to see before it's too late that they aren't the hero. Not at all. That's the power of story. If you don't know your own, you're liable to listen to another's.
I don't understand. He sidled closer to me.
Neto, listen. It's me, Tlakaelel. I've managed to inhabit him just for a moment. You've got to go. I can't hold him back much longer. Don't bother with him. If you attack, he will wake. He's saying the words right now, but I can feel him resisting. Go!
And so I did understand, and so as quickly as I could I got up. I turned and grabbed the sword with the umbrella handle and made my way towards Gris, who looked at me incredulous. He drew a pistol just in the moment, but as he shot me, I had already plunged the blade straight into his chest. As he gurgled blood, his eyes expressed the deepest pity I'd ever seen. I felt my side wet as I opened the door and made my way down the dark hallway. I heard a growl behind me, like from a wolf, and I released the sword inexplicably, out of fear. Out of incompetence, surely. It's fine. Go, said the voices. I wanted so much to believe they were still alive, but I knew that I could do nothing for them if I was dead. When I finally came to a door, it was well locked. I shook the handle and pounded on the door. I tried to break it like I'd seen Harry do, and I nearly broke my shoulder doing so. The wolf was large and black, nearly as large as the hallway. It advanced casually, and its teeth gleamed from the moonlight outside as it snarled, a low rumble, and then It was close enough for me to see. It was collared, wrapped in thorns and roses, and the thorns dug into its flesh, and that it was bleeding. A single drop dangled and then streamed and coursed up its open jaw and fell to the floor. And as I watched it fall, the beautiful horror demanding time to freeze, the wolf opened its jaws wide, ready to consume me. I leaned back against the door. I was not ready to go to sleep, but I made myself ready to die. I closed my eyes and heard the glass shatter, the lightning crash, then a howl. I opened my eyes and not a wolf lay before me, but a half-wolf, half-man, a scar on his cheek rising and bubbling. I was still paralyzed with fear, with unexpected compassion, as the man, the myth, the legend, lay on the ground looking almost pitiful. My legs felt stiff. But then I heard Lucy's voice calling from outside.
Neto!
Lucy!
Yes! Out this way! There's a trellis, you can climb down!
Dracula tried to grab my leg as I made my way out the window ledge, jagged with shards. I kicked him free a little feebly, but it was enough. I nearly jumped out the window, sliding down and trusting Lucy's vision. I grabbed half trellis, half vine, and felt the pinch of what was undoubtedly rose thorns dig into my flesh. I felt again now my side, now throbbing with unfamiliar pain. Had I been shot before? Curiously not. Surely the bullet had only grazed me. I heard Lucy's voice again.
Almost there! Just 1, 2 more stories!
I made my way as fast as I thought that I could without letting the pain get to my head. I suddenly realized one of my arms was seizing, one of my hands feeling numb. Would I survive if I dropped? And then my foot missed the trellis and I did drop, almost with relief. I heard her cry.
Neto!
And she absorbed my fall. We were on the ground, and I wanted nothing more than to be in her arms and forget all consequence. I was in the coffin room, and I was no longer bleeding or hurting anywhere. This was not a scary place. This was a beautiful place. I looked around me. All were my family. They were children. I saw the little vampires smiling. Some had just woken and were climbing out their coffins. We were a family, all. Then the world shook. The rain started gently and then came pouring down in the courtyard.
Hey! There you are. Come on. I think I know where they are. Can you walk? We don't have to fear the RUS coming, I don't think. I saw most of them leave the castle like they'd been given a signal. We're alone.
Not entirely.
What?
Never mind. Harry, Agatha, Leona, they're alive?
Agatha? Yes. Nino got a message somehow, guided me to you. I was completely on the wrong side, but never mind that. They're here. It's locked, of course. Don't know how we're gonna get in easily if Harry can't force his way out.
Lightning?
That will take some time, but I will try.
I saw Lucy concentrate and heard the thunder start to rumble. Lightning struck, but nowhere near us. Still I saw her focus, beautiful, sweat dripping off her brow, even as the rain soaked us to our bones. Then, as if from a dream, we heard music coming from somewhere, and out of the corner of my eye, I couldn't believe it. It was Simon, holding a boombox.
Hi! Hi! This thing might short out in a second, and maybe you two should get out of the way. Not much security in this place.
Lucy helped me up and we stood under an awning out the rain. The way she held my hip made me melt into her arms. Inappropriately timed, I still smelled her skin, like it would be my last time doing so. But then we heard it. The lightning cracked and coursed towards Simon's outstretched hand. And as it struck him, he seemed to absorb its light. And quick as the flick of the DJ's wrist, he directed it towards the door, and it split with a grateful collapse.
It worked! Lucky I did a bit of studying before I came here. I'll never take the RUS library for granted again. Also, lucky I was touring not far from here. I guess I know who my booker works for at least.
We made our way inside. Inside was a vestibule with a large steel door like to a bank. We slid several locks, turned the wheel, and the door opened. Inside, bruised but alive, was Harry, Leona, and my bunny, my Agatha.
Good timing. Let's come out to you and close the door, quick!
We heard from within the dark chamber sounds echoing, hollow and terrifying and sad. We could not close the door quickly enough. Outside, the rain had stopped. We all breathed in the night air. Then, a wolf's howl. The clouds parted and the moon was full, and above us there he was, like an apparition, floating down as elegant as moonlight, as light as a feather. Only his scar on his face, not unlike Harry's, reminded of Lucy's fortunate lightning strike. He stood before us, greeted us with an open palm, which was bleeding from a shard of glass. He took it out, licked it, and howled. And his howl led us all to look at the moon. And when our gaze returned, it was a wolf, more terrifying than before, and infinitely more hungry. Simon? I looked over at him, fumbling with his boombox.
He went out, the rain, I think. Sorry. It was supposed to be waterproof. Shit, Brand, should have known.
Leona paced to one side, ready to change into what I did not know. I looked around the courtyard. Perhaps there was art, something to manifest. How had I let my first known powers go by the wayside all this time? I could feel my knees buckle. Still, Lucy held on to me. Lucy? The weather?
Not entirely in my power, Neto. Temperamental, like Nino said. He's in control of it now. The moon, he's at his full power, I think.
Harry pushed Simon back, motioned us to the side as well. A flash, and Leona leapt into the form of Crow, streaking towards the wolf, but he swung his jaws and she spiraled up and just out of reach. There was no cacophony to the rescue this time. But it was Harry then who made his move. He leapt incredibly into the air and landed on the beast's back, attempting to wrench its neck. It appeared successful at first, but then Harry toppled over and onto his back, barely holding the beast's jaws open as it drove inches from his face, his neck pinning him down.
It was then I heard her say,
Harry, it's me. Hold on. I've been here all along. I'm so sorry. Say my name. Tell Neto to say Baba. Tell him to say Baba Yaginya loudly.
Agatha! The rabbit! My word! Neto! Your sister, damn you! Your sister says to say your origin's name, to yell it!
My throat was parched, but I did as my sister commanded. I knew she would know best. I had missed being told what to do by her. Son of the dragon, hear me. Hear her name. The name of your love. Baba Yaginya! Just then the beast became distracted, looking in my direction, almost with pity as if he would surrender his feast. And just as he did, Bunny scurried and leapt on his neck, digging her teeth into him. He screamed and shook and released Harry, shaking his mane furiously, pacing backwards. Still, Agatha held on fiercely. Bunny!
Agatha!
Agatha?
That's Agatha? But it was then that we saw the ring of the moon grow bright, almost as bright as Bunny's flames, until the flames enveloped the wolf and slowly he ceased to shake, and slowly they seemed to reduce in size, almost like a wolf pup, and before we could stop it, before we could even say goodbye, they both had disappeared like a star consumed by night. Only Harry would have heard her say goodbye, I think.
Harry. Let's hope.
There was no explosions then, no fireworks. We left the castle, we left behind its underground lair, and its coffins and the evil that lay there. Or perhaps evil is not the right word, because they are simply part of us. None of it mattered, as we didn't even have a token to clutch onto as we made our way down the stone steps, down the palace's garden courtyard and into the forest, where the deer seemed to be waiting for us, to escort us down the mountain, silent pallbearers to our grief. I was still weak but too charged to abandon consciousness, as much as my body wanted me to. Lucy and Harry both held me up from both sides. She's gone then. Sacrificed for us. That's how she would have wanted it. How she would have wanted it all along. Harry, I'm sorry. She swore me not to tell. Please, forgive her.
Hush. Let's get to safety.
There was a fragment of a bullet in my side, but it had not pierced any organs. I'm simply not as strong as Harry. Leona was fine, a bit bruised. As they recalled to me, when the trapdoor gave way, Leona changed rather at the last minute into a crow. Or was it a raven? And Bunny lit her flames and seemed to absorb the shock of the fall. And Harry, well, Harry is made of sterner stuff. And besides some bruises and scrapes, landed in some muddy water below. It was ill-conceived as a death trap, or perhaps it had not intended to be one at all. Rather, it was a staging area for something far more wicked. But even though their fall alerted them, they were not quite awake yet, and Bunny's flames led them out and through the labyrinthian tunnels until they somehow knew that they should stay put. At least, that's how Harry recalls it. The relationship he had built with Bunny made reading her intentions second nature, and he assured Leona that they should trust her instincts. She was a burrowing animal, after all. Simon had been contacted by Dracunin through Parker. After all for one for all, we had both of them to thank. He was crestfallen about the rabbit being Agatha, even more than myself or Harry, which granted he had not really known her, and after all he was only a boy of 19 or 20, and this was a lot for him. Our lives had been shaped by grief, and his was just beginning. After we parted ways, to reassess, to recover, Harry and I made our way to Paris. We both wanted, since we knew of the other place, to pay a visit to Agatha's apartment. The apartment complex door was open. Again, we made our way up, our hearts panging for the missed presence of the little feet scurrying up, though we could imagine she was there with us. Up to the last landing, still nothing there. Or perhaps, on closer inspection, there was something. A little envelope lay in the picture frame on the wall, tacked on. We opened it. It simply read, Rizdi. And that is how we returned to Providence, like the fountain foretold. An eternal return. The cacophony of the crows. The sweet ambling lean of the little houses on Benefit. The slow climb up Hope. It was Sunday, the museum was free today. We gave my zip code for Woonsocket and we walked in, not knowing if this was a trap or something else. We made our way through the gallery where our misadventure had begun. Many pieces had been replaced and the traces of magic were gone, all save the tapestry, with the little medieval knights where the one curiously looked like it was climbing back up, out of frame to rejoin his friends. We made our way downstairs towards the cafe entrance and there was Agatha. And there I was. And there I was again. And one more of Agatha, and further in, Boston, pictures I had made in Boston and given my landlord, and more, and all of them, mostly paintings, but some drawings, people that had surrounded me all those years, and buildings, captured in time long before it cost an arm and a leg to live there. Harry, did you do this?
Not I. I'm amazed as you.
The immortal artist, the caption for the exhibit said, describing a fictitious, obscurely playful conjecture that was hard to prove or disprove. In a corner of the room, some people were setting up a table, some drinks. A bartender with a mustache looked at us curiously.
We'll have drinks in 15 or so if you stay. It's open to the public. It's a cool exhibit, huh? Different for this place.
As we wandered from picture to picture, Harry occasionally giving an affectionate squeeze to my shoulder, people began to stream in, surrounding us, drinking bubbly wine, and having snippets of conversations about my art, complimentary ones, about me. One person looked at my self-portrait and then at me, but appeared too shy to engage. One person did come up to me, as I recall, and couldn't help remarking that I looked like Timothée Chalamet. I laughed a little too loud and thanked them a little too profusely, as if they had told me something else. At the far end of the room was also a picture which was clearly not mine. It was of a fountain in a jungle.
Not yours, correct?
No, but I suppose it is apt.
Yes, looks familiar. As if I saw it long ago, like it slipped through my fingers.
We stayed until the gallery cleared. The bartender had packed up all their things. Harry left them a large tip, which they were a little shocked by.
Well, it's for the best. We'll know where they are, I suppose. Can visit maybe at least some of them when we like.
Yes. I'd always wanted a gallery opening. I thought I wanted it where people would come up to me, shake my hand and all that, but I think this was better.
Congrats, Neto.
Thanks, Harry. Shall we go? Before leaving, we made our way back up to the other level just to see, somehow, if there wasn't a blue bunny somewhere, but alas, she was gone. As was the tile which would have simply said, Aga.
Where to?
Harry asked. We stood leaning against a railing along the river, the sunset colors fading by the second. Dunno. You going back to LA for a time?
Going to check in on Leona and Balkus. You? I'd like to accompany you for a while longer, if you like.
If you like. Well, actually, I think I'd like to be alone for a little bit at least. I'm going to go to Woonsocket, but then I suppose
Lucy. And Nino.
Yes, fortunately or unfortunately, I feel I must. At least figure it out for their sake as well as mine. Harry held my hand for a long time as we said goodbye at the bus station before I boarded my bus to Woonsocket, a most unusual thing. Nothing one could have predicted to happen between us. He waved as my bus took off. There was a sign outside my building that it was under development, that it was to be sold, but nothing like construction yet. The entrance in the back was still there. When I got up there, I even found some dry matches and candles. I sat on my mattress and placed 3 lit candles at the foot of the mural and took it in. It was wonderful, and there it all was, the crows and the trees, and the swirls and the vertigo and the feeling, so much feeling. And in the corner, observing it all, my blue bunny, Agatha. She was here, I could feel it. If only. And that is when I went to sleep.
Check 1, 2, check 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3.
The Diaries of Netovicius the Vampire and ensuing seasons were produced, written, and mostly voiced by me, Hugo Pierre Martin. Special thanks to the guest stars of this episode this season. Introducing Jason Marnocha as Dracula, Quyen Ngo as Lucy, Cherise Boothe as Leona, and Caroline Faber as Agatha. Very special thanks to the artists whose work you can see displayed on Spotify, on YouTube, in the episode art, and on social media, as well as the fans who've written so many words of support. Every little bit fuels me more than you can possibly imagine. This recent season and the last had numerous episodes recorded at the BAI at Brown University. Thank you to the greater Rhode Island community for the support, including Lit Arts RI. I'm ever grateful as well to all the musicians credited throughout the series who have made their music copyright-free for people like me to use. And a very, very special thanks to my lady love. Stay tuned for more to come.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite.